From Toronto, Canada, The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio, AM 740.
And welcome to the broadcast for Sunday, December the 18th, 2011. And this is the final installment of The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett for 2011. Of course, next Sunday is Christmas, and the new AM 740 has a full day of wonderful Christmas music programmed for you, so I will have the night off. I will be fireside with the little ones and roasting some chestnuts, perhaps enjoying a glass of mulled wine, kind of a traditional Victorian Christmas maybe over at the Syrett household. Anyway, welcome to the program. A little bit later, around midnight, as they say, around midnight, Patrick White, a dear friend of the program, of course, he is the co-owner, founder of Conspiracy Culture, Canada's only shop dedicated to conspiracies, and a wonderful bookstore. If you haven't been, please go down and check it out. It's one of those destinations. People come in from all over Ontario, 1696 Queen Street West. Patrick will be here with his, we're going to call this the Conspiracy Reader segment, and every year, I guess this is the third installment, he comes equipped with a must-read list for conspiracy, paranormal, supernatural material, but primarily conspiracy stuff. And he's got just a bookstore that's loaded to the rafters with great books. 1696 Queen Street West, again in Roncesvalles. Patrick White will be here at midnight. And then at 12:30 to take us on home, we'll round out our own top conspiracies of 2011 with our researcher, media scientist, friend Nelson Thal, longtime JFK assassination researcher, talking about the top conspiracies of 2011, which reminds me, I won't have a chance to talk to before December the 29th. On December the 29th, I'll be on Canada AM, CTV. On the 29th, I'm not sure what day that is offhand, but it's 8:40 in the morning, and they've asked me to give them my list of the top conspiracies for 2011. So we'll do that. Right now, however, I first met my first guest while filming an episode for the Conspiracy television program, and we did, in Season 2, another episode dedicated to past life regressions. The first one we did in Season 1, we got so much tremendous feedback that we decided to do a second regression on the TV show, and that's when I met Debbie Papadakis, who, we're going to find out what makes a great hypnotist, because she's one of the best anywhere. In fact, she was featured in Oprah Winfrey's magazine, O. Is that what? No. What is Oprah Winfrey's magazine called?
The O magazine.
The O magazine. Anyway, Debbie, welcome to the Conspiracy Show.
Thank you so much for having me here today, Richard. And I thank you and hi to everybody around the world. And
the Hypno Healing Institute is located here in Toronto.
Yes, it's located at 355 Kill Street in Toronto, and our contact information is telephone 416-760-8996, and our website is www.hypno-healing.com.
Excellent. Now, what makes a great hypnotist? Why are you world-renowned?
Well, thank you for telling me that I am a great hypnotist. I have been working with hypnosis for about more than 15 years. I do care for people a lot. I'm a people's person. I don't put myself first. I take care of the people. And the other thing I do, I have trained a lot from anybody that had something to teach me for the last 15 or 18 years. I've been taking classes. Every year I would have at least 5-6 different classes somewhere in the world. Because it doesn't matter how much you know, there is a more to know. So that's what I think makes me good at my work. And
But there must be something else that you have, Debbie, that others don't. I mean, is it a gift? Is it not everyone can learn, I'm guessing, to be a hypnotist or achieve that certain level. Is it because hypnotism is about relaxing the person, allowing them, we hypnotize the client hypnotizes themselves, correct?
That's right. Hypnosis is a self-hypnosis. If you ask me how many people I have hypnotized, I would tell you only one, myself. The rest of them, I assisted them to hypnotize, but they hypnotize themselves.
That's why I'm wondering if it's a gift, because you told me that you met this gentleman once and you virtually allowed him to hypnotize himself almost instantaneously.
Well, we do hypnotize people instantaneously quite often, because it's, again, how much you allow yourself to let go of fear. We can hypnotize people in a couple of minutes, couple of seconds.
That to me is astounding.
Well, it's to me it's not, because it's such a natural thing. Hypnosis is a very natural thing. It's focus attention. So if I talk to you right now and you focus exactly at my words, and you don't hear the sound that comes from outside, you are hypnotized. 3/4 of a day we hypnotize ourselves, Richard. And
sitting in front of a television.
I have a son who likes TV, and I will go next to him and I will call his name, and I will call his name again, and then the third time I will call really his name loud, and he'll say, "Yes, Mom." Basically, he is hypnotized by the television. We're hypnotized by anything, by listening to music, by cooking, by no matter what you do.
It's a change in our brain waves, right?
That's right.
What are we going into, like a beta or a theta?
Well, we can go to all those levels, but in hypnosis we use different measurement. Our measurements are from 1 to 6. The first level, we basically just getting ready to focus just a little bit. The second level, we start we can make our body feel very stiff. The third level, we even forget numbers. If I give you a suggestion, you forget number, you forget the numbers. The fourth level, we can put somebody in a place that they don't feel the body. In other words, they don't feel pain anymore. Fifth level, we can even see things that are not there. And the sixth level is we don't see things that are there with appropriate suggestions.
And we'll talk about some of those different levels in particular a little bit later. We're going to delve into the reason that I met you, and that was a past life regression.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about past life regressions and how hypnosis can allow someone to experience a past life. And you know, Debbie, I've laid my cards on the table. My faith does not allow for reincarnation, but at the same time, I've witnessed so many past life regressions on this radio show, on the TV show, that I know that there's something going on, that the experience is real. The question is, what is it? And we'll talk about that as well. Mm-hmm. And when we come back, we'll also talk about some of the other things that hypnosis can do. We know we're all familiar with these smoking cessation programs that involve hypnosis, and how we can become more creative using hypnosis, or stop any sort of destructive behavior or habit, or enhance other positive habits, as I say, creativity or confidence. All of these things possible through hypnosis. Debbie Papadakis, my guest, from the Hypno Healing Institute here in Toronto. We'll open up the phone lines in just a little while and ask you about past lives. All right, welcome aboard The Conspiracy Show. David Gaskin is ably assisting, flying the spacecraft through the night, and I hope you'll be with us for the duration. My name is Richard Syrett.
The truth is not out there. It's right here. The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio, AM 740. The world is being pulled over your eyes. This is The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio, AM 740. To reach Richard, Call 416-360-0740 or toll free at 1-866-740-4740.
Just before George Janescu, the avuncular, affable host of Big Band Sunday Night, left, I introduced him to Debbie, and I think it's okay to mention this, but he consented off the air. George Janescu has agreed that sometime early in 2012, he will undergo a past life regression live on the air here on the new AM 740. Debbie Papadakis, our past life regression therapist, she's a hypno healing therapist, will be leading George Janescu into some previous incarnation. And that, my friends, is something you want to stay tuned for. That will be interesting. Here's a man who has had probably 9 lives during his current incarnation. I can't even imagine what George Janescu was in a previous life, in one of his previous lives. But we're going to find out live on the air sometime in 2012, so stay tuned. All right, Debbie, how does it work? How does hypnosis allow someone to quit smoking or to quit drugs or alcohol or become a more creative person? How does that work?
Well, excuse me. First of all, hypnosis is a way for us to enter a state that we let go of the chatter. Okay? So it's focus attention. So when the person is in a hypnotic state, they follow the instructions if they agree. If they agree, they will follow the instructions you give them, and they will accept, if they accept the suggestions. Now, if they don't, nothing's going to happen. If they accept the suggestions, then they will follow those suggestions. So for me, doing hypnosis is 2 ways. One way, I can hypnotize somebody and just give them suggestions. And the other way, I can hypnotize somebody and I will go there and I start digging at and questioning and find out the person was in that state, and they don't try to control it, try to understand it. They will speak automatically. They will say whatever comes into their thoughts and their mind, and that is a part of our subconscious information. So in order for us to enter that subconscious information, we hypnotize the person, we go there and then start digging to find out what is the problem, what's the emotion associated to some of their behaviors or thoughts or feelings. So we take those feelings and we trace them back, and once we trace the feeling back, automatically, if the issue started in another life, another time, another situation, it could be in genealogical times, it could be when you're in the womb, could be when you're in a past life, could be in early childhood. Once we access that information, then we go and we transform that information. We change it. We transmute that negative feeling, that trauma, that negative feeling, that something that's controlled that issue. And once you take that away and you transform it, get the fear out, all of a sudden the person feels okay. Then we ask for the subconscious to take that information, the new information, which is fearless or feeling good, all the way to the now, and it knows how to do it. The mind is incredible, knows how to do all those things if we know how to word it properly.
So through a regression, if you're taking a person back to childhood, maybe something that they don't even remember, but their subconscious is held on to.
That's right.
You're going to the root of the problem and discovering. Let's say, for example, it's not. It's a phobia a person has. Mm-hmm. Let's say they're absolutely terrified of the water, but they don't know why.
That's right.
So you take them back.
Wherever they're going to go. Whenever they're going to go. They could go to past life. They could go to some when they're 2 years old, they're 3 years old. They could go to any time that something happened they don't even remember. And they will tell me a story. Now, I'm not 100% sure if that story is 100% true. However, I think it has some truth to it. It may not be the details of the story truth.
In other words, let's say, for example, the fear of the water comes from a previous life, and that person was a sailor in the British Marine,
That's right.
and they drowned
That's right.
aboard a ship.
That's very
drowning.
common. That's very common.
But what you're saying to me now is that past life experience might not be a genuine past life, but it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Because it will heal the person.
It will heal. The minute you get rid of that fear, that emotion, at the moment that person is drowning, which is the fearful trauma, stay within the person, within the cells of the person, the memory of the person. Once we reverse that, and we can reverse them with many different ways. First of all, by just seeing it, the person loses 10% of the fear. But then I will ask the person in a different way I'm going to may do it, but I may just say, imagine yourself, you are beyond your body, beyond, you have passed to another level, another consciousness. And they experience peacefulness, they experience love, they experience good feelings. So then I'm going to ask them from that position to look at their life that they had just let go. And what were the lessons they learned? What were the best thing they've done in that life? What else could they have done to have a better life? What was the trauma that let them go? And by just experiencing these feelings and just evaluating, takes a few minutes, and looking back and sending love to the people that they left, sending love to themselves, to the future, all of a sudden that fear is gone. Because remember, the fear was the moment the person is drowning. Okay?
Right.
After they drown, then they go into the peaceful state. And
So-
I've done that with many people.
So you could resolve someone's
Fear.
of water in one hypnosis.
Most times, yes.
How about could you stop cigarette smoking in one hypnosis?
With stop smoking, I usually have 4 hours, which is basically 2 sessions.
2 regressions.
Well, it doesn't have to be regression. Could
No.
be suggestion given.
Okay.
Because smoking is a habit.
Okay, that's not necessarily rooted in a past life.
No.
No.
Smoking is most...
But the behavior that caused the need for nicotine could be rooted in a past life.
The behavior, again, if it's a memory, quite often would be a memory. If a parent's smoking, if the grandfather is smoking and the parent is, the child is 2 years old and they love the grandfather and the grandfather smoking in the corner, to them, love equals that smell of smoking. And then when they're looking for love, when they start growing up, they pick up the cigarette, and that to them represents love. And it's a complicated thing, but then we have to go back and make them understand that smoking is not, you can love your grandpa without the smoking.
Right. Debbie Papadakis is here from the Hypno Healing Institute here in Toronto. We'll take a time out in just a moment, but Debbie, let me ask you. I've met a number of past life regression therapists, and they've totally blown my mind with some amazing case studies. In one instance, there was, I believe, a lawyer, high-powered lawyer, and he would go into these inexplicable periods of depression and profound sadness, even though everything in his life was going along tickety-boo. He had these tremendous feelings of guilt, and he couldn't explain it. He underwent a regression, and what he discovered was, in a previous life, apparently, he was a Nazi concentration camp guard. And you can imagine the horror that he would have witnessed and felt responsible for. And after the regression, and realized who he was and came to terms with that, those periods of melancholy and guilt were gone.
Yes.
Another instance, a woman came in to see a hypnotherapist, a regression therapist, and she and her husband could not get along. For the 30 years of their marriage, a day didn't go by where they were not arguing, and it never came to blows, thank goodness, but they were constantly at each other. Finally she had enough. She went to a regression therapist, and he regressed her. She went back into a previous life. She was in the Civil War. She was engaged in hand-to-hand combat with someone from the Confederate Army. She was a man in the previous life, fighting with the Union, the North, and she discovered that this person that she was fighting with in hand-to-hand combat in the Confederate uniform, that was her husband.
Yes.
In this life.
Yes. That's very common, specifically relationship issues. Almost, I will not say 100%, but almost 90%, if we have more than 90%. If we have a couple that they cannot get along together, and at the same time they cannot split up together, to me is... I have worked with them in an interesting way, trying to fix their problems in this life. And doesn't matter how much work I do, there's still something left. The minute I take them to past life, there is always a contract. And I work with that hundreds of times, thousands of times. There is a contract is made. At the time, those people were, I don't know, brother, sister, partners in another life, and one left the other. Maybe they were at war. One went to work. A few weeks ago, I worked with a person. One person went to work, and they promised, I'll come back. And when they come back, the person had died already. And then in their mind, they felt so guilty, so horrible, so upset that this brought them such a sad feelings. And they were looking for that person. And in this life, there are couples that one is very obsessive about the other, and the other doesn't want to deal with them. And so by the time we brought them back, I worked with only one, the issues were clear because the person realized what they had done.
In other words, we tend to travel from one life to another with the same group of people.
Yes.
So in one life, your wife might have been your father.
Yes.
In a previous life, it may have been that person may have been your cousin.
Yeah.
And now that person is your wife. So we travel with the same group of people.
That's right.
From one incarnation. That's fascinating. All right, we'll take another time out and return with Debbie Papadakis. Coming up later on the program, Patrick White will be here with his must-conspiracy read list, his must-read list for conspiracies for 2011. And to close out the show, Nelson Thaler, media scientist, will be here to talk about the top conspiracies of 2011. And Debbie Papadakis stays with us until midnight. We'll talk more about past life regressions. We'll open up the phone lines as well. And Debbie is actually going to one caller who believes that they have had a past life. She's actually going to attempt to regress that person off air over the phone during a commercial break, and then we'll bring them back on the air. And hopefully, if this works, we'll fly by the seat of our pants. We may actually have an opportunity to witness a past life regression live on the air. Stay with us. I hope you're enjoying this final broadcast of 2011, The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett. Don't go away.
Peering into the shadows, where the truth often hides. You're listening to The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio, AM 740. The truth will set you free, but first, it'll really tick you off. You're listening to The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio, AM 740.
Debbie Papadakis is with us from the Hypno Healing Institute, 355
Kiel
Street here in Toronto.
Yes, at www.hypno-healing.com.
And you're going to have a hypnosis workshop. How does that work?
Okay. Now, January 4th, every year, we, all hypnotists around the world, we promote hypnosis. So we have workshops. We have many people who have different things. I will have a workshop at my office, which is only fits about 50-55 people. The last workshop we had to stop the registration 3 days before because there were too many people. We cannot handle more than 50-55 people. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 3-hour workshop. And this 3-hour workshop is going, the first half an hour or 40 minutes, I'm going to talk about hypnosis. I'm going to talk about how we block ourselves by achieving our goals. And then anyway, I'm going to explain hypnosis, what it is, how it works, and then I'm going to take one person and hypnotize in front of everybody, clear some of their blockages. At this particular workshop, we're going to clear blockages. because people are blocked from achieving their goals, from becoming who they meant to be in reality, and they live in a very limited life, and this is exactly what my focus is, to help them to overcome that. So, and then the last hour I'm going to hypnotize the whole group, and everybody's going to clear at least some of their blockages. Those workshops, I've been doing them for the last 6 years, and almost about 10 a year, almost monthly, and they're very successful, and we really get busy. Now, the workshops are $25. You can register at www.hypno-healing.com, and I believe already 25 tickets are sold already, and we just put it up a couple of days ago.
They can register through the website?
Yes, and or they can call our office,
Okay.
416-760-8996. Oh, and the money, most of the money will go to a local charity. And perhaps you guys have, Richard, here some charity. We'll donate to your charity if you wish to.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Well, I can certainly
Tell me
look
about
into that.
what-
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Thank
We'll discuss that further. Thank you. So let's go back to past life regressions. I know there's so much more to hypnosis than past life regressions, but this is a program that's dedicated to the paranormal and the supernatural and alternative thoughts. So obviously we gravitate towards the past life aspect. Can you tell me about a particularly profound case that you've had where a person came in with some present day issue? They went back in time to a previous life and resolved it. Can you tell me?
I can tell you, and right now comes to my head, a lady who could not make money. She was broke all the time. I took her back into past life, and I saw herself as a business owner, and she had lost her money, had lost her business. And she felt so uncomfortable. She was watching people coming and taking her stuff and her money. And she made the decision, I will never have money again because it's too painful to lose it. Therefore, I will not have money again.
When was this past life? What?
This past life was two past lives before. It was somewhere in Europe. I don't have exactly the details right in my head, but it was a time that she lost her.
Right.
It was a big thing. And from that time on, she could never have money. Another one I think of, people, I had a guy with arthritis. We took it back, and he was living in some kind, exactly, I don't remember the details, but it was something, he was sent away. We were sent away to a mountain because they were killing everybody around, and this person got wet, and he basically died in the mountains. And it was somewhere in Turkey, somewhere in the around those areas.
Right.
And then he died there, and the body held on to this wetness, to this horrible feelings of being left alone, and the body had become full with arthritis. After that, the arthritis were gone.
The arthritis was gone after that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Now, I witnessed a regression at another radio station. A colleague of mine was taken back. He was a tax collector in the north of England. He knew during the regression geographical information, the names of rivers, villages. He really had no knowledge of England, of that area, he told me afterwards. Mm-hmm. And he was speaking in an English accent, a pretty good one. Mm-hmm. So he was a medieval tax collector. And the details were astounding. Do people often talk in accents or speak other languages?
I had twice out of the thousands I've done, twice people were speaking in a different language. And in fact, one lady was from India, but she grew up in England, so she had an English accent. And when I took her back, she was speaking in a Slavic language.
Were you able to verify that it was an actual language and not just gibberish?
I had asked people to, but I couldn't record it back. But the accent was it was very Slavic language.
Yes.
I didn't have anybody to go and verify it, but it was totally the way this person could talk in this language.
Amazing.
And I had another person was talking German. And we verified that. I think that is somewhere in one of my tapes.
And this person previously had no knowledge of the German language?
No knowledge.
See, I'm confused. Debbie, as you know, I'm Orthodox Christian. I don't believe in reincarnation. It doesn't mesh with my faith. Yet I've witnessed enough to know something is going on. What other explanations are there? I mean, if it's not a past life, assuage my confusion here.
Well,
what else could it be?
Well, let's look at how many people, thousands of people right now, they claiming that they have a near-death experience.
Yes.
We have heard of that a lot.
Yes.
And those people, they can tell you, and they were documented hundreds and thousands of cases where they're under the table, where the doctor operates and all that, and then, according to their technology, they're dead. According to the doctor, these
Yes.
people are dead for a few minutes, whatever. And after, when they come back, they tell you exactly what the conversation was, how these people trying to
Revive them,
and they can tell you details.
Yes.
But there are cases even better than that, when a blind person who had never seen in life was able to talk about colors and how they look and everything else.
Right.
So what's happening, according to the medical society, these people are dead.
Yes.
So how are they able to see beyond, after that moment that the heartbeat is?
Yeah, how could they have memories when the brain? Yeah, because clearly, to me, it's evidence that that consciousness is outside of the body.
Mm-hmm.
Our consciousness exists outside of the body.
Well, I believe it's the outside, but also inside of the body, or it's both inside and
Yes,
outside.
yes.
So, but for me, in order for me to trace somebody, to take them back into whatever time they will go, usually I ask them, where do they feel that tension? Where do they feel this emotion? Where do they feel something in their body? In other words, we're really going and looking at the memories of the cells, the memories of the body. And then if I ask the question to go back the first event, the source, the beginning of this feeling, whatever the feeling, we can name it, go back the first time and give me a fast answer, they will tell me quite often it's past life, only because the answer came first from past life. And you give them a couple of minutes, all of a sudden they can describe anything.
Right.
Now, some people are not visual, so they will not see things. If the people are kinesthetic, they will feel things. If people are auditory, they will hear things. If people are visuals, they will see more details.
Right.
So the cases you're talking about are more details because people are able to see things.
Right. What I'm
They're
saying
more
is, what I guess what I'm asking is, if it's not a past life, what are some of the other explanations for what these people are experiencing? Could it be in some instances just sort of a fantasy life that the brain is remarkable in that, I guess in a certain state it could create a timeline or a storyline, or it could be, I think you mentioned once to me, it could be it could be something in their DNA. It could be a memory of an ancestor.
It could be, of course, it can be a memory of an ancestor. Also can be a memory that you've seen it on TV or read it in a book.
Yes.
And this became almost like you, but it's affecting you in some level.
Yes.
That's why it helps for the healing purpose. For the healing purpose, helps all the way.
Yes. It doesn't matter if it was an actual past life.
It doesn't even matter if you believe it in it. Even if you don't believe in it, still works.
Did you believe in past lives before you became a hypnotist?
No, I was very skeptical about it. I had many situations. I heard. In fact, I went through past life. I went through the experience, and I thought, what is this all about? I had to really, really, really evaluate. But I see more and more work is done. So much out of every second client I have will go through a past life experience. I don't spend too much in details because I'm looking for the emotions, to transform the emotions and to change them in order for healing to happen. I focus on that work and totally transformation and the healing and change behavior, change thinking, change relationships, creates better life. But
for someone like myself that doesn't accept reincarnation, if I were to undergo a regression, would I then be a poor candidate because I'm going into the regression as someone who doesn't believe in reincarnation?
You doesn't believe is not the biggest thing. The biggest thing, if you have a fear of it, or if you go with the analytical mind, Because think of it, just think of this. Think of three plates, okay? Three plates, one inside the other.
Yes.
The outside plate will be the conscious mind.
Yes.
That holds the thinking, the rationale, the logic, the questioning, all that.
Yes.
The middle plate will be the subconscious mind, which holds the emotions. In other words, a thought comes in, automatically the emotion takes over. That's
right.
Okay. Do you understand that? I'm trying to. Anyway, so we have the conscious at the outside, the subconscious in the middle, which is basically the feelings, association, feelings, emotions, love, hate, anger, all this. Also beliefs, which is says I'm good enough, I'm not good enough, and that has emotions associated too. And then the middle part is the body response. The response of the body is called the autonomic bodily function. In other words, the autonomic parts of your eyes are blinking, your blood is circulating, things that you don't see what's happening in your body.
Right.
Your body gets hot, cold, and all that. So when I ask you the question, anything you remember is at the conscious level, anything you don't remember is at the subconscious. So when we ask a question and we're going to fast answer, we get it from the subconscious.
Okay.
A fast answer will be out of the subconscious. If you don't think, you get the answer. However, people like you will go there, start thinking, questioning. I'm going to ask the question. You're going to start thinking.
That's my problem. Yes, I analyze everything.
Okay. If you analyze, you cannot allow it to go. You cannot be in the subconscious and analyzing. Do you understand that?
That's right. Yes.
You cannot do that. Or you are the conscious or subconscious.
So I might not be a good candidate.
If you start analyzing, not because the analysis to me means, well, you say, let me think about it. Well, this thinking doesn't exist in that place.
Although, I mean, my wife the mighty Aphrodite would attest that I can be hypnotized by the TV. She'll be saying something to me, and then she'll say, "Are you deliberately turning me out, tuning me out?" And I'll say, "No, I'm a great listener. Just ask the TV." All right, Virginia is on the line. Virginia, welcome to The Conspiracy Show.
Hi, Virginia.
She's in Caister, Ontario.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Virginia.
Yes.
Go ahead. I understand that you've...
I can hardly hear you. You sound as though you're in Timbuktu.
We are doing the show live from Timbuktu tonight. You are... okay, so you have experienced a regression, Virginia.
I've gone into 4 regressions.
Mm-hmm.
One, I went into twice the same life. And I have taken people to those places in this life and also asked questions when I got there, which made them very uncomfortable because how did I know these questions?
Where were you taken in a previous life? What was the previous life?
When I traveled through Europe, I went to several of them and took these people to these places. One was Geneva, one was Rome, right?
Right.
And one was in Sicily.
And what time frame are we talking about when you were taken back? What year, roughly?
I don't really recall. When I was in Sicily, when I was in Marseille, it was the time of the French Revolution.
Okay. So late 18th century.
When I was in Rome, it was the time of the crucifixion.
Oh,
Okay.
Interesting.
And when I was in Sicily, apparently I was much younger, and apparently I went into perfect Sicilian. And that was, I guess that was the previous life, which was, they still rode in very few cars, but most of them in donkeys.
Interesting.
Can I ask you a question to Virginia? Virginia, thank you for sharing this.
I'm sorry, I can hardly hear you.
Oh,
Go ahead.
okay. How does your life change after you went through these past life experiences?
The one way it did change, I was very concerned about dying in pain, or being half dead and left to pain.
Yes.
And that was in a previous life. And I was told, forget it, don't bring it into this life.
Okay.
The one with the one in Sicilian, I refused to call my father Daddy because I said he wasn't, and this taxi driver, Giuseppe, was my daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did it with me to try and find out why, or to get me to accept my father
Okay.
in this life.
Okay. Have you accepted your father after you had the experience?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's
The other one in Marseille, I guess I was curious about several things. I wanted some answers. I wanted to discover some of the answers to what happened.
And when you went to these places and you had experienced past lives there, were the streets suddenly familiar, certain houses and so forth?
While we were driving there, I told people to, like when we went to Marseille, I told them I wanted to go to the church, and it had a moat around it and a drawbridge, and we were to go there for safety if they rang the bells, and that it had flying ships. And they thought I was nuts. I gave them several things like this, and I took them to this church. And I was very factual on it. And I asked them where was the secret door to get into the basement where we hid. And it was a door that you couldn't really see. I mean, they showed us, but they said they didn't usually show people because there was only one way down and one way up.
And they were shocked that you knew about it, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Virginia, amazing, fascinating, and thank you so much for the call.
Thank you.
Virginia in Castor, Ontario. 416-360-0740 and toll free from Thunder Bay to the Carolinas, Maine to Minnesota, 866-740-4740. If there's anyone else out there who remembers a previous life, maybe we can do this in the time that remains. If you remember a previous life, what we can do is when you call in, you can talk to Debbie a little on the air, and then during it we'll take a break, and we'll see if the caller is willing. During the break, on the phone, off air, Debbie, you can try and take them, put them under, and assuming, of course, that they're not on a cell phone driving.
That's right.
You can, and then maybe we can experience a past life regression here live on the air. 416-360-0740, 866-740-4740, and when we come back, we'll do that and delve more into past life regressions. Debbie Papadakis from the Hypno Healing Institute. You're listening to The Conspiracy Show here on AM 740.
Fasten your seatbelt and put your tray in the upright position. You're about to leave everything you know behind on The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio, AM 740. When in doubt, blame the government. You're listening to The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio, AM 740.
All right, welcome back. Just a few moments remain with Debbie Papadakis. Coming up at midnight, Patrick White from Conspiracy Culture with his must-read list for 2011. Conspiracy, paranormal literature, etc. And then at 12:30, Nelson Thal, media scientist, archivist for the late Marshall McLuhan, and of course the producer of the web TV program Shock Talk with Bloom and Steele. He'll be here with his top conspiracies for 2011. All right, again, if you have a memory of a past life, we'd love to hear from you, and perhaps we can do this experiment in the time that remains. We'll see if Debbie can put you under off the air over the phone and take you back to a previous life. So, where do we want to continue to talk about past lives? What are the, for the skeptics out there, and I am one of them.
Okay.
I'm a skeptic, but I have an open mind, having witnessed it. What would be your best evidence that past lives are real?
Well, we have to look at many things. Some people have some interest at a certain historical time periods. Some people like different times, and some don't resonate at all in different times. Or you're looking they're fascinated with a geographical area or settings. People know they can go, like she says, this previous lady, Virginia, talked about Italy, or they know they have been there. They know they resonate to this place. And some people, they love art. They like music. They like dance, different fashion of jewelry, different music, different home decor, movies. People have different taste. quite often they are resonating to something from the past. And I always believe some very famous people, I'm talking about movie stars or musicians, they had, if you really take them back, and I have taken a couple of people back like that, they were so into the same field, and they were very famous before. Very famous. I will work with a lady who is opera singer. We took her back to clear some of the fears she had singing in front of people.
Right.
And she was an opera singer in the past, and she was very famous. And people, they loved her so much, they went over her, and they tried to go so close to her that they killed her. Because there were thousands of people.
But what about documented cases where they've actually been able to trace the information that was recorded during a past life regression or the memory, and they were able to determine, yes, that person was real, and they, just as that person said, they lived here? And
Yes.
I mean, is that common, or?
Well, it's I'm not going to say it's very common to find exactly the person, because it's always you have, because in the memories you have information, but the core of information is there, but sometimes the details might be a little different. My theory to this is, if I have 10 people in front of me and tell them a story right now, they will remember the basis of what I told them, but the details might be different for different people. The same way we have when we go back and revisit those events, we might have a different not exactly how it happened. Even if you go back into your childhood, would you remember exactly what happened?
No, I see what you're saying. So in other words, when someone is recording, and we tried this on the TV show, you're recording the information that's coming through from the regression, a name, a date, a place that's affixed to it. That person, they might have the last name wrong, or the date, it could be a few years off, or
few years off, yes.
The name of the town.
The name may not be off. The name is something that they heard it enough times, but details might not be 100%.
So in other words, it's difficult. That's where it's difficult to verify.
Yeah,
but there was a case of a young boy in Seattle. I think most people are familiar with this case. He had nightmares about going down in a fiery plane crash, and he had this incredible. He was like 5 or 6. He had incredible knowledge about fighter planes. He could name the parts of fighter planes. And then he came up with a name, and he claimed that he was this fighter pilot that went down over the Pacific, and he even knew the name of the aircraft carrier. He was a naval pilot. Do you remember that case?
I remember that case, and I believe that it's not very common, but it's for some people who have who are visuals, they can remember things. It's very possible.
Your previous life, can you tell me about that? What that you experienced? My
previous life?
Yes.
Well, myself, I was looking at my personality and find out how come I'm so. I don't know if I would say that opinionated, or I have strong beliefs about things and certain things. So I had to go back, and I went back to. I was in Turkey, where I was trying to help women to become stronger, to fight men, to fight the traditions and all that. But then I went back. My grandmother was killed when my father was 4 years old in Turkey in 1923. And she went through a very horrible death. And I have experienced this death myself many times. I know I was my grandmother. Oh. And I had a very special relationship with my father. It was very obvious there was something in there, like I was his mother.
Interesting.
I know I was his mother because I went back over and over and over, and I re-experienced the whole thing. I had to release that trauma because apparently what happened to her was the 500 people, they put them in a church, kill all of them, and then put a fire in the church. So I was one of them.
I'm going to ask you a question, and you can, if you don't want to answer it, you can tell me to go take a flying leap, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yes.
You are Greek, obviously,
yes,
and I am married to a Greek. So, I mean, how does reincarnation square with Greek Orthodoxy? Are you Orthodox?
I am a Greek Orthodox.
Yeah. How do you square the two?
I do go to the church, but I have my own beliefs about different things. So not every part of the Greek Orthodox Church that I believe. So
Right. So you're able to
yeah,
accommodate
but I also
reincarnation
go to,
within your...
yes, I also go to different churches myself. I'm
Right.
an international. If you really ask me what my religion would be, I'm Greek Orthodox, but I go to the church. But I am an international. I go to the Buddhist temple, and I go to the Muslim, and I go to the Christian, and I go to all of them.
All right. I think I owe you another break, don't I, David? Why don't we do that, and we'll come back, and a few questions remain for Debbie Papadakis from the Hypno Healing Institute. And if you're just joining us, George Janescu, the beloved host of Big Band Sunday Night, has agreed to undergo a past life regression live on the air. We will do that sometime in 2012. Stay tuned for that. Back with more. Don't go away.
Different views make great conversation. This is The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett on Zoomer Radio, AM 740. Loose lips sink ships, and sometimes corporations. Got something to say? Call Richard Syrett now at 416-360-0740 or toll free in Ontario, 1-866-740-4740.
James Leininger is the name of that 6-year-old out in Seattle. And a few years ago, at the age of 6, he started having these nightmares. He would shout out, "Airplane crash on fire, little man, can't get out." And then later he came up with the name of James Houston Jr. And there was a James Houston Jr., a fighter pilot, shot down in the South Pacific in 1944, just as James Leininger had told his parents. He was a Navy pilot. And he even knew the name of the aircraft carrier that Houston flew off. They ended up taking James Leininger to meet the survivors of James Houston, I guess his daughters and so forth. He met them, and he knew information about their dad that there's no way anyone could have known. Mm-hmm. That, to me, has to be one of the best documented cases, but I'm sure there are others.
There are many documented cases. And details are many books. I mean, we have Brian Weiss would talk about the lady who did all kinds of work through Egypt and all that. I'm not sure if they found all the details. Again, that was for healing, but there are so many books around. I am about to write a book because I have many cases, but my full focus is on healing, on resolving issues. And when we go back, we find through healing the past, we heal our now or our future. And many people have been crucified in the past. I've worked with people who witnessed Jesus Christ's death. Many people. Now, how can you find out if this is true or not? I mean, I don't know. But when they go through, they go through this emotional feelings and pain and crying, and it's impossible to recreate that.
That's why I remain so open-minded, having witnessed the emotion that comes through. People are experiencing in these past life regressions their own death oftentimes.
That's
they're
right.
Witnessing and they're recounting how they died, and it's you can see and hear it. The emotion is real. These people are under some distress, not a lot, because a skilled regression therapist such as yourself is able to remove them from that situation.
That's right.
So they're looking at it sort of objectively.
They're looking at it without any emotional feeling, with an adult comprehension, and they can just look at it, get the lessons out of it, get whatever you need, and then let the picture go, or sit there and understand what's happening, and through understanding you can heal yourself.
I have a weird thing where my fingers has to do with my fingers, and I can't stand the thought of someone bending my fingers back. And of course, somebody Aphrodite loves to tease me about that. And do you think that could be rooted in a past life?
It could be a past life, but if you really focus on your fingers right now, and imagine somebody is pulling them or pushing them, how would you feel?
Very squeamish, like they were going to break off.
That's a thinking. I want a feeling.
Just squeamish.
Squeamish. I'm not sure what squeamish means.
Squeamish, just kind of like skittish, kind of nervous. I get
Nervous,
kind of
nervous,
a
thank you.
tingling in between my shoulders, even thinking about it.
And that nervous feeling, can you feel it for a moment? Just imagine somebody's pulling them.
Yeah, right between my shoulder blades. I get a tingling.
Just focus on that place. Focus on that place. Just close your eyes, maybe. Focus on that place. And what kind of feeling is you experiencing down there?
Between my shoulder blades?
Yes.
What kind of feeling? Just kind of a chill.
Chill.
Just kind of a chill.
Is it okay for you to go and find what's happening? Close your eyes, though. And just for a second, maybe you don't have to think. Is that a possibility?
Is it possible for me to turn it off, this monkey mind of mine? Jeez,
Yes.
I don't know.
If you go
in
back,
90 seconds?
If in 90 seconds, you can go back. The first event, the source, the beginning of that. 1, 2, 3, you're there.
Yep.
Tell me what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, what you're thinking.
You know what? This is bizarre. I don't know why I'm seeing this. I'm seeing someone in a parka, and it's very. I'm just seeing someone in a kind of a desolate landscape. I'm seeing someone in a parka.
And
I don't know why
happening?
that popped into my head.
Thank you. And what's happening there? Just give us the details.
This person, it does actually look to be a sort of an Inuit a person, and they're looking down. This is bizarre because I don't. They're looking down at the ground. They're looking down at the ground, and the sun is overhead. It's
a man or a woman?
It's a man.
And how old is the person?
It's hard to say. It's just a very weathered-looking person. But
Take a deep breath, and you'll know their age.
For some reason, the number 56... What are you doing to me, Debbie? The number 56 just jumped out at me.
Okay, 56. And what is the problem? What's happening there that created some... You hold on to that memory there. What is the real problem? Take a deep breath and just allow it to come up. Just describe the situation, what's going on, are you happy, are you unhappy, are you...
I guess I'm getting kind of maybe my monkey mind is taking over now. I'm so disturbed that this information is actually crept out of my this rat's maze of a mind of mine. Nothing's happening now.
You checked out.
Yeah.
But this is exactly a very common thing to go back, and in order to go there back, Richard, that is at least 5th level of hypnosis.
5th level? But how do I know that wasn't just, as Ebenezer Scrooge once said, a bit of undigested beef rather than an...
After a couple of minutes,
yes.
You're going to start, once you allow it to see it, you're going to start feelings. You're going to experience feelings. You're going to experience not only the thinking, but the feeling. You're going to be there. You're going to really experience it if you allow yourself to go there.
All right.
And all of a sudden, then we can resolve the issue, and within minutes, you're not going to have problems with your fingers.
So, what are we saying? That I was an Inuit in a past life?
Well, you tell me what you saw.
It's not allowed, Debbie. I can't do that.
Okay, thank
not
you.
till I speak to my priest.
I'm sorry.
I have to speak to
I'm sorry. I should have done that.
Debbie, this was a pleasure, and we're going to do it again in 2012, and we're going to have George Ginescu spread out on a massage table maybe in here. It'll be a family show, though, folks. Don't worry.
Just share like that.
And we'll find out who he was in a previous life.
Yes.
And
maybe you will be ready to do that.
After I speak to my spiritual advisor, then if he gives me the okay, we'll do it. January 4th, the workshop. Tell us one more time about that.
Yeah, January 4th, the workshop is about releasing your blockages, and it's a 3-hour workshop at the Hypno Healing Institute. Our phone number is 416-760-8996. You need to register early. You can call, or you can go to the website, which is www.hypno-healing.com.
All right, Debbie, a pleasure. Thank you for this.
Thank you so much.
All right.
God bless you. And thanks to everybody around the world. God bless you. Have a lovely Christmas and Happy New Year.
Kala Kristuyana.
Kala Kristuyana.
All right. When we come back.